The email from HR sat unopened in my inbox, its subject line taunting me. Department Leadership Announcement. My hands trembled as I hovered over it, knowing this could be the moment I'd worked 3 grueling years for. I'm Selah, and the last time I received a life-changing email, I was sitting in this same office, watching my world crumble through a computer screen. Mohammed had sent it at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Not even the decency to say it to my face. "We need to talk," he'd written. "Marlene offered me the senior project manager position. Things between us, they've evolved. I'm sorry." Evolved. Like some twisted corporate Darwin theory, where sleeping with your girlfriend's boss was just natural selection at work. "Girl, you're doing it again." Eva's voice cut through my thoughts. She perched on the edge of my desk, coffee in hand. "That 1,000-yard stare. You're thinking about them, aren't you?" "Just reflecting on karma," I said, gesturing to the unopened email. "Remember when Mohammed thought getting into Marlene's bed would get him to the top?" Eva's eyes widened. "Is that what I think it is? Open it." My phone buzzed. A message from Natalie. "OMG, did you see the email? Call me." "Open it! Open it!" Eva practically bounced on my desk. I clicked, and time seemed to slow down as the words appeared on my screen. My heart stopped, then started again with a thunderous beat. "Effective immediately." I read aloud, my voice barely a whisper. "Following Marlene Scott's departure, pleased to announce Selah Joseph as the new head of project development," Ava squealed, drawing curious looks from nearby cubicles. "You did it! You actually did it!" I sat back, letting it sink in. 3 years of 60-hour weeks, of watching Mohammed and Marlene exchange knowing looks in meetings, of proving myself on every project while they thought I was falling apart. Now I would be leading the department. Their department. "Have you thought about what you're going to do?" Ava asked, lowering her voice. "About Mohammed?" Before I could answer, Arthur appeared at my cube entrance, his presence commanding attention. "Selah, congratulations! I trust you've seen the announcement? We should discuss the transition. And," he paused, his expression serious, "your first executive decision regarding the team structure." I stood, smoothing my skirt. "Of course, Arthur. I already have some ideas about that." As I followed him to his office, I caught a glimpse of Mohammed through the glass walls, his face ashen as he stared at his own computer screen. The email that had just changed everything, for both of us. "You're sure about this?" Arthur leaned back in his chair, studying the project proposal I'd just presented. "The Maxwell account is our biggest client. One mistake could cost us millions." "Yeah, I'm sure." I pulled up the analytics on my tablet. "Look at these numbers from my last 3 projects. We increased efficiency by 40% while reducing costs. The Maxwell account needs this kind of innovation. 3 years ago, I wouldn't have had the confidence to pitch directly to the CEO. But pain is an excellent motivator. The night after Mohammed's email, I'd walked into the office early, makeup perfect, hiding puffy eyes behind determination. While they were busy playing their little romance, I buried myself in work. "Impressive," Arthur nodded, swiping through the data. "But managing the whole department is different from running individual projects. You'll be directly overseeing 15 people, including—" "Mohammed," I finished. "I'm aware of the complex dynamics." Arthur's eyes met mine. "Office relationships can be messy." "Past relationships," I corrected. "And I assure you, it won't affect my judgment." A knock interrupted us. Ava poked her head in. "Sorry, but the Maxwell representatives are here early for their meeting." Arthur stood. "We'll continue this later. Show me you can handle Maxwell, and we'll talk about the department restructuring." Back at my desk, Eva cornered me. "Spill, what happened?" "He's giving me a chance to prove myself with Maxwell." I pulled up my project files. "Remember all those late nights I spent building this proposal?" "You mean when you should have been out dating?" Eva rolled her eyes. "Girl, you turned into a workaholic robot. And now I'm about to be that workaholic robot's boss." I smirked. Natalie rushed over, practically vibrating with gossip. "Did you hear? Marlene's being transferred to the Singapore office. Apparently, things with Mohammed have been rocky. Karma's a patient player, Eva whispered. I gathered my materials for the Maxwell meeting, but Mohammed stepped into my path. Sela, can we talk? Actually, I'm heading into a meeting. I moved to step around him. Please, his voice dropped. About the department changes. Any concerns about the department should be addressed in our official meeting tomorrow. I kept my voice professional, ignoring the familiar scent of his cologne. I'm sure you understand, given your experience with maintaining appropriate workplace relationships. I walked away, head high, leaving him standing there. Through the glass walls, I saw Marlene watching from her soon-to-be former office. Let them watch. Let them wonder. The Maxwell presentation would be my first step toward reshaping this department. And tomorrow's meeting? That would be my second. The Maxwell presentation had gone perfectly. Now, standing in what would soon be my office, Marlene's office, I reviewed my notes for the department meeting. In less than an hour, everything would change. Your new business cards arrived, Ava announced, placing a sleek box on the desk. Head of Project Development looks good on you. Ah, thanks. I ran my finger over the embossed lettering. Is everyone here? Almost. Natalie's spreading the word that you're making major changes. Ava hesitated. Mohammed's been asking around about what's coming. Let him sweat. A knock at the door made us both turn. Serenity, our newest hire, stood in the doorway. Sorry to interrupt. I have those project assessments you requested. Perfect timing. I took the folder, impressed by her efficiency. Ready for your first department meeting? About that. Serenity glanced over her shoulder before stepping closer. I overheard Marlene and Mohammed in the break room. They're planning something for the meeting. Of course they are. I smiled, pulling out a document from my desk. But I'm planning something too. The conference room was packed when I arrived. Mohammed sat in his usual spot near the head of the table, a space traditionally reserved for project leads. Marlene hadn't arrived yet, probably making a calculated late entrance. Good morning, everyone, I began, standing at the head of the table. As you know, there are some significant changes happening in our department. Right on cue, Marlene swept in. Sorry I'm late. Singapore time zones. Already getting adjusted. She smiled tightly, taking the last empty seat. Actually, Marlene, since you're transitioning out, this meeting is for current team members only. I kept my voice pleasant. We wouldn't want to waste your valuable packing time. The room went silent. Marlene's face flushed, but she stood, dignity barely intact, and left. Now, let's discuss our new structure. I pulled up the org chart. First, I'd like to introduce our new senior project manager, Serenity. Mohammed's head snapped up. Excuse me? Serenity has shown exceptional skills in her short time here. She'll be taking over the Maxwell account and team leadership responsibilities. That's my position, Mohammed interrupted, his voice strained. Was your position, I corrected. Given recent performance metrics and team feedback, we're making changes to optimize efficiency. The room crackled with tension. Natalie was practically bouncing in her seat, while Eva tried to hide her smile. You can't do this, Mohammed started. Actually, I can. And I am. I moved to the next slide. Now, let's discuss our new project timeline. My phone buzzed. A message from Arthur. Need to see you after the meeting. Urgent. I kept my expression neutral, but my heart raced. What now? The meeting ended with Mohammed storming out, his chair spinning behind him. As others filed out, Serenity approached my desk. Thank you for the opportunity, she said quietly. I won't let you down. I know you won't. I gathered my things, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach about Arthur's message. Eva caught up with me in the hallway. That was brutal. Beautiful, but brutal. It was business, I replied, though we both knew better. Selah! Mohammed's voice echoed down the corridor. He stood blocking the path to Arthur's office. We need to talk, now. Actually, I have a meeting with Arthur. This is personal, he insisted. Nothing here is personal anymore, Mohammed. You made sure of that when you chose a promotion over our relationship. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Or did you forget that detail while you were evolving with Marlene? His face reddened. You're doing this for revenge. No, I'm doing this because I'm good at my job. The revenge is just a bonus. Everything okay here? Arthur appeared behind Mohammed, his expression concerned. Fine, Mohammed muttered, stepping aside. In Arthur's office, I braced myself for bad news. Instead, he was smiling. The Maxwell team called, he said, closing the door. They were impressed with your presentation, very impressed. They want to double their contract. Relief flooded through me. That's fantastic. It is. But there's more. Arthur leaned forward. The board is considering a complete restructuring of the executive team. Marlene's transfer isn't just about Singapore. We're eliminating her position entirely. What does that mean for the department? It means we need someone to oversee all project development across Asia-Pacific. He paused. Someone who's proven they can handle complex situations with professionalism. My heart stopped. Are you offering? It would mean relocating to Singapore? Arthur smiled. Ironic, isn't it? Through the glass walls, I could see Mohammed at his desk, angrily typing what was probably a complaint to HR. Beyond him, Marlene was packing her office, shooting glares in my direction. When do you need an answer? I asked. Soon, but first, handle the transition here. Show me you can manage the fallout from today's changes. Back at my desk, Eva was waiting with coffee. Well, what did Arthur want? To offer me Marlene's job, the real one, in Singapore. Eva's jaw dropped. Oh my God, are you going to take it? Before I could answer, Natalie rushed over. Emergency! Marlene just sent an all-staff email about toxic leadership and personal vendettas. It's getting ugly. I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. Good. Let's show them what professional really looks like. The war wasn't over yet, but for the first time, I was fighting for something bigger than revenge. The board has received several complaints, Arthur said, pacing his office. Marlene's email caused quite a stir. I expected that. I pulled out my tablet. But I also expected this. I showed him the performance metrics I'd compiled. Every decision I've made has been backed by data. Serenity's track record outshines Mohammed's in every category. A knock interrupted us. It was Marlene, looking perfectly composed despite the chaos she'd created. Arthur, do you have a moment? She glanced at me. Privately? Actually, Arthur gestured for her to enter. You should both hear this. The Singapore position is exactly why I'm here, Marlene cut in. The board can't seriously be considering someone with such obvious personal biases for an executive role. I stayed quiet, watching Arthur's reaction. Interesting perspective, he said, especially coming from someone who hired their boyfriend as a senior manager. Marlene's perfectly maintained facade cracked. That's different. Is it? I finally spoke. Because while you were focused on office politics, I was focused on results. The Maxwell contract alone? The Maxwell contract? Marlene laughed. Mohammed and I built those relationships. And now they're doubling their investment. Under my leadership. Arthur's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. Speaking of Mohammed, he just submitted his resignation, effective immediately. The news hit me harder than expected. Despite everything, we'd worked together for years. He what? Marlene's composure completely shattered. He can't. I need to talk to him. She rushed out, leaving her designer handbag behind. Her phone buzzed inside it, the screen lighting up with a message preview. Got the job in Dubai. Come with me. Leave this mess behind. Arthur and I pretended not to see it. Well, he sighed, that simplifies the transition, but complicates other things. Sir? The board meeting is tomorrow. They'll want to know how you'll handle the Singapore expansion, with 2 senior positions suddenly vacant. I straightened in my chair. Actually, I have some ideas about that. Serenity is not the only talent we've been underutilizing. Later at my desk, Eva brought me tea. You okay? I saw Marlene running out like her Louboutins were on fire. Mohammed resigned. He's going to Dubai. Good riddance, Eva said, then studied my face. Unless. Don't tell me you still. No, I said quickly. It's just. I thought winning would feel different. Who says you've won yet? Natalie appeared, looking worried. Marlene's in the break room making calls to board members. She's throwing around words like hostile work environment and legal action. I should have felt scared. Instead, I felt oddly calm. Let her try. I've got something she doesn't. What's that? The truth, and tomorrow the board's going to hear all of it. The board meeting's in an hour, Eva said, adjusting my blazer. You ready? Before I could answer, Serenity burst into my office. You need to see this. She handed me her phone, displaying an email from Mohammed to the entire department. I regret to inform you of my resignation, I read aloud. But I cannot work in an environment where personal vendettas override professional merit. The truth about the current leadership will— Keep reading, Serenity urged. Will come to light during today's board meeting, where Marlene and I will present evidence of systematic discrimination and retaliation. I looked up. They're both attending the board meeting? Plot twist, Eva muttered. They're tag-teaming you. No, Serenity interjected. They're desperate. Look at these. She pulled out a folder. I've been gathering documentation since I started. Every project milestone, every decision, every metric, including— She hesitated. Recordings of Marlene asking me to falsify reports when Mohammed's team was underperforming. I stared at her. Why are you showing me this? Because you promoted me based on merit, not office politics. Because you're actually good at this job. Serenity squared her shoulders. And because I hate watching talented people get torn down by petty revenge. The irony of her words wasn't lost on me. Selah, Arthur appeared in the doorway. They're ready for you. The boardroom was intimidating, all glass and chrome and power suits. Marlene and Mohammed sat together on one side, a united front. I took my seat opposite them, Serenity beside me with her documentation. Ms. Joseph, the board chairman began, serious allegations have been made about your leadership style and decision-making process. Yes, I replied calmly. I'd like to address those with data, if I may. For the next 20 minutes, I presented cold, hard facts. Project successes. Client testimonials. Performance metrics. Serenity's documentation was devastating, especially the recorded conversations. Marlene's face went from confident to ashen. Mohammed wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Furthermore, I concluded, I'd like to present my proposal for the Singapore expansion, including a restructured leadership team that emphasizes merit over personal relationships. That won't be necessary. Mohammed suddenly spoke up. I'm withdrawing my complaints and my resignation. He stood, straightening his tie. Marlene, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. Dubai's waiting. He walked out, leaving Marlene sputtering. Mohammed, we had an agreement. The chairman cleared his throat. Well, Ms. Joseph, it seems you've answered our concerns about your leadership capabilities. Shall we discuss Singapore? I caught Serenity's small smile. Sometimes karma works in unexpected ways, through quiet allies and honest work, rather than elaborate revenge. Yes, I said. Let's talk about the future. Congratulations on the Singapore position, Mohammed said, leaning against my office doorframe. I guess I should pack up my desk. I looked up from the relocation paperwork. I thought you withdrew your resignation. Dubai's still offering. Seems like a good time for a fresh start. He stepped inside, closing the door. We should talk, really talk. I think we're about 3 years too late for that. I was wrong, he blurted. About everything. Marlene, she promised me the world, but it was all manipulation. The whole time, you were the one actually building something real. Is that why you abandoned her in the board meeting? I kept my voice neutral. Because you finally saw through the manipulation? No, he admitted. I did it because watching you in there, seeing how far you've come, I realized I gave up something authentic for a cheap imitation. Wow! I stood up. That's a great speech, Mohammed. Did you practice it in the mirror? Time it perfectly for right after I got the promotion? He flinched. It's not like that. Then what's it like? Because from where I'm standing, you're doing exactly what you did with Marlene. Looking for the next step up. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been telling me to my face that you were leaving. Fair would have been admitting you were sleeping with my boss instead of letting me find out through office gossip. Fair would have been, I know, he shouted. I know, I messed up. I lost the best thing in my life because I was ambitious and stupid and scared. The office had gone quiet, everyone pretending not to listen. You weren't scared, I said softly. You were calculating. And now, you're calculating again. Selah, please. Take the Dubai job, Mohammed. Make your fresh start. But do it because you want to build something real, not because you're running from consequences or looking for the next opportunity. He stared at me for a long moment. You've changed. No, I've grown. There's a difference. After he left, Ava and Serenity came in. That was intense, Eva said. You okay? Actually, yes. I smiled. For the first time in 3 years, I really am. Good, Serenity said, because we have a surprise. She handed me a folder. The team put together some recommendations for the Singapore restructure. We think you'll like them. I opened it to find detailed proposals, including one recommending Serenity for my current position. We're ready, she said simply. Thanks to you? Looking at their eager faces, I realized something. In pursuing revenge, I'd accidentally built something much more valuable. A team that believed in real leadership. Well then, I said, let's get to work. We have an Asia-Pacific division to build. So, last box, Eva announced, setting it down in my new office. The Singapore skyline glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows. Still can't believe you're really doing this. Neither can I sometimes. I unpacked my nameplate. Executive Director of Asia-Pacific Operations. Have you heard from Natalie? Oh yes, Eva grinned. Apparently Marlene's consulting business isn't going so well. Turns out reputation matters more than connections. And Mohammed? Doing okay in Dubai, from what LinkedIn shows. Single, though. She raised an eyebrow. Having regrets? About him? No. I placed a framed photo on my desk. The department celebration after the Maxwell contract success. About how I handled everything? Maybe a little. What do you mean? I spent so much energy on revenge, I almost missed what was really important. I gestured to the photo. Building something meaningful, leading with integrity. My phone buzzed. A video call from Serenity. I answered to see her sitting in my old office. Boss, you need to see this. She turned her camera to show the team gathered around, holding up a champagne toast. First project under the new structure just got approved. Full client buy-in. Never doubted you for a second, I said, watching them celebrate. After ending the call, Eva helped me arrange the last of my things. You know what's funny? You thought you were plotting revenge, but you actually built an empire. An empire built on merit, not manipulation. I smiled. Speaking of which, how's the HR director position treating you? Let's just say no one's dating their boss on my watch. A knock at the door interrupted us. Arthur stood there, looking pleased. Getting settled in? Just finished, actually. Good. Because the Bangkok team is waiting for their first video conference with their new boss. He paused. You know, when I promoted you the first time, I worried your personal history might cloud your judgment. It did, for a while, I admitted. But you turned it around, built something remarkable. He gestured to the conference room across the hall, where team members were gathering. Ready to show them how it's done? I looked at the photo one last time. All those faces full of potential and trust. This was what real success looked like. Not revenge served cold, but opportunities shared freely. Not climbing over others, but lifting them up. Yes, I said, straightening my jacket. I'm ready. Eva squeezed my arm. Go get him, boss. Walking into that conference room, I felt nothing but excitement for the future. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's proving that you were always meant for something bigger than their small-minded games.